Good morning and welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'm Brigida Vieira, and I'm joined today by the Reverend Emily Conger to lead our worship service this morning. Reverend Conger is the minister of the Longmont Unitarian Universalist Presence, or LUP, a ministry launched and supported by UU Church of Boulder and us, Boulder Valley. Emily is also a co-founder of Nourish, a UU dinner church where she leads meal-centered worship services around the country. Today, Leah Morris and Tad Coriath are providing music, and our tech ushers are Deborah Mensch, Herb Axe, and Cameron Weiss. They all help us run things so smoothly in the background. Our senior minister, Reverend Lydia Ferrante Roseberry, is on a very well-deserved ministerial sabbatical through August 9th. April. It's April. We are in the month of becoming. And today, we're inviting you to experiment with us by becoming something new in worship today. This is an interactive brunch service. We'll listen to music, share reflections in small breakout groups, and we'll also be using the chat feature. For some of us, this may feel like going outside of your comfort zone, and we ask you give it a try. To fully participate in today's service, you may want to write a few things down and keep notes for yourself. When you are invited to share with us, we ask that you do so in alignment with our covenant of right relationship, and as fully and deeply as comfortable that feels for you. And of course, you are always welcome to pass. As I say the welcome words today, shift into that gallery mode if you haven't done so already. And I ask that you find someone. It could be someone you do not know, someone you do know but haven't seen in a while. And in your mind and in your heart, invite them to sit with you during this service. We might not be together in person, but we can still feel the warmth of this community. You are all welcome here today. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes, and sizes that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all the ways you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. In all the ways you make your living and the many places you are from, you are welcome here. In all the ways you make your living and the places you are from, whether you be Christian, pagan, humanist, Jew, Buddhist, mystic, Muslim, Unitarian, Universalist, with all of the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here today. No matter how long you are away, nor how soon you will return, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome you today. We also acknowledge that our community is located on the lands once stewarded by the Arapaho, Ute, Lakota, and Cheyenne people. Our congregation honors Indigenous legacy and respects the enduring relationship that exists between Indigenous peoples and their traditional homelands through our connections to Right Relationship Boulder. We also acknowledge that we live in a time when Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, BIPOC, and our Latino, Latina, Latinx, and Hispanic people are devalued, violated, and killed because of systematic racism. This fellowship is committed to becoming anti-racist in ourselves and our institutions, and we do this by taking concrete actions to dismantle racism in society, taking guidance while also honoring the lived experience of those who identify as BIPOC, and developing personal relationships between cultures. Our vision is to help build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community within and beyond our walls. And we have a few announcements this morning. Visitors, newcomers, and new members are all invited to participate in the Inquire series as a way to get to better know the fellowship. The Inquire series meets today, following the service, to talk about congregational life, including how you can engage or find your passion and what may make you come alive at Boulder Valley. Rosemary Arp will present, and Don Engelstad will be facilitating. This series is culminating in a Path to Membership class next Sunday for anyone who wants to become a member of our fellowship. And our One Voice group needs you for a lighthearted video about connections across distance and difference to be shown at Music Sunday. We're hoping for as many participants of all ages to send in photos or short video from home. And you can also show up on April 24th, outdoors, masked, distanced, at staggered times, and we can take a photo or a short video of you. See Connections Weekly for more details. And a new adult education opportunity started April 9th. Skills for Anti-Racist Work, presented by Victoria S. Gray. In this series of collaborative classes, come learn about, observe, practice, and effectively engage in anti-racism. You can attend as many or as few classes as you choose. We just request advanced registration and a suggested donation. Registration for the class with more details is in the chat window now. And lastly, if you are new here, we are so glad you found us. And we hope that in this virtual community, you can experience the warmth and the love of this congregation. Each Sunday is different here, so please do come back a few times to really get to know us. If you want to get better connected, you can see the chat window for the link for a first-time visitors page. Or you can email your information to our office manager, Carol, at officemanager@bvuuf.org. Her email address is also in the chat window too. And lastly, don't forget to check out the fellowship calendar and Connections Weekly for all the opportunities we have to stay connected. If any newcomers would like to introduce yourself in the chat, please do. We really love to know who is among us. And you all are invited for a virtual coffee hour after the service, or you can join one of the other offerings I just spoke about. And now, if you have a chalice at home, you can light it with me as I light my chalice. And so we know where all of our chalices are. Please write in the chat, chalice lit in, name of your town. You can say these words along with me as I light our chalice. I will go slowly so you can follow along. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. And now I'm going to sing our bowl again, inviting it to draw you deeper into the present moment and into some moments of sacred stillness. And now, let's sing. Come sing with me and Leah Morris and her children as we explore what our role is in this world and how imagination can move us beyond what we consider to be possible.
Who will I be?
Who will I be?
What will I see?
What will I see?
In this great world,
In this great world,
who could be free?
who could be free?
And what will I build?
What will I build?
What will I find?
What will I find?
My story begins
The story begins
inside my mind.
inside my mind.
Who will I be?
Who will I be?
And what will I see?
What will I see?
In this great world,
In this great world,
who could be free?
who could be free?
What will I build?
What will I build?
And what will I find?
What will I find?
My story begins
The story begins
inside my mind,
inside my mind.
in my imagination.
My imagination.
What is an imagination? Lucy, do you know what imagination means?
I think imagination is what helps people create new things all the time. Because you can't create new things if you can't imagine what you want them to be.
That is absolutely true, Jacob. Everything human made was an idea first. You know, one of my favorite imaginers in history was Leonardo da Vinci. I loved that he imagined that human beings could fly hundreds of years before we figured out how to do it. And Dr. King is another great imaginer. His speeches about the dream that he had outlined a vision for how people could live better together in this country. It was all about having that vision first and then finding the words to communicate it, and then being inspired to certain actions that would bring it closer and closer to reality. Do you like to make up stories? When you play with your magnets or when you play with your babies? That's using your imagination, thinking of stories and characters who are doing things all inside your mind. It's amazing. We have movies playing in our minds all the time. And it's really important to be the director of our movies, to recognize that we can tell ourselves stories that make us feel good or stories that make us feel bad. And we get to choose which thoughts we have. We just have to practice deciding how we use our imaginations. Can you think of something that maybe doesn't exist yet, or that no one has ever seen, but that can make your life better, or make the world better for those of us who are sharing it? I would love to know what kind of ideas you have about how the future could be. and that you're already starting to imagine, and that one day all of us will see. Who will I be?
Who will I be?
And what will I see?
And what will I see?
In this great world,
In this great world,
who could be free?
who could be free?
What will I build?
What will I build?
And what will I find?
What will I find?
My story begins
Story begins
inside my mind,
inside my mind.
in my imagination.
My imagination.
Amen. What will we build together? Who might we become? Leah Morris and her family explain that imagination is about expanding our vision of the world. And in order to practice expanding our vision of the world and who we might become together, I'm going to invite you to do a spiritual practice with me called Visio Divina. Some of you might be familiar with this practice. Visio Divina invites you to tap into your mind and heart to access a larger vision through art. In a moment, there will be an image shared on the screen, and you can choose to use this image or another one in your space, whether it's out the window or it's in the room you're in. And when your eyes first land on the image, I want you to notice what you're looking at and keep them there for just a moment. Together, we're going to expand what is possible and explore who we might become individually and collectively on our journey to build beloved community together. So let's have that image come up now. And let your eyes land somewhere. Here we go. Keep your attention on that one part. Try to keep your eyes from wandering too far yet. Breathe into it for a moment or so. Now let your eyes take in the whole image. See how the first piece you looked at relates to the larger whole. Look at all of the parts of the image. Notice the colors and the shapes, the contrasts. Bring your gaze back and see it as one cohesive image. If you were in this image, where would you place yourself? Reflecting for a moment. What emotions does this image invoke in you?
What does it stir up in you or bring forth? Does this image call you to do something? Who are you called to become? Take a moment to appreciate the gifts that this image has given you. And take another moment to jot down any notes about your experience of this meditation or your takeaways. We will weave our reflections throughout the rest of the service.
Thank you, Emily. Let's just have a moment. Let that image sort of wash through us. Take a couple of breaths in and out. As I read a poem by Adrienne Marie Brown. This is called There is an Edge, Ode to Radical Imagination. There is an edge beyond which we cannot grasp the scale of our universe. That border, that outer boundary is imagination. The only known edge of existence, the only one we can prove by universal experience, we can imagine so much. We can only imagine so much. If perhaps it is a function of our collective minds, a dream of our endless nights, then there will be abundance so long as we can imagine it. Abundance on earth, if we can imagine it. Or abundance of earths, a sphere for every tribe and every combination, and have it all. All we need is to remember there is an edge and grow our dreams beyond it. Thank you. Again, that was Adrienne Marie Brown. Each week, we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives in this community by giving half our plate away to those organizations that share our values. Today, we are investing in our third principle, which affirms and promotes the acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. We're giving our half plate to the Longmont UU Presence, or Loop. The Loop is an emerging ministry initiated jointly by the UU Church of Boulder and our Boulder Valley Fellowship in 2016 to grow UU presence in Boulder County. Loop is an innovative, multicultural, and multi-generational spiritual community for individuals and families, asking, what does it mean to be a UU in this time and place? The Loop gathers monthly to soulfully connect in moving and meaningful ways, from book clubs, social gatherings, food justice actions, and a new mutual aid community garden. Please give generously, as you so often do. And as our musical reflections begins, we invite you to reflect on what may have unfolded or arised for you in the imagery shared earlier in this service. Please write into the chat your reflection to this question. What was the first thing you noticed in the visual meditation? Thank you, Tad, for that improv music. And now for the work of this fellowship, bringing love, reason, compassion, and justice to this world, and to the Longmont UU Presence Loop, we dedicate our offerings.
Being is not a coat fitted to us but once. It is an invitation to breathe deep into the gift that is our day. We have not arrived. We are not cast in stone. Beating hearts, cells made new. We grow, we change, we meet, and are met. Becoming, always becoming. These are the words of my colleague and mentor, the Reverend Wendy Williams, who serves Jefferson Unitarian Church in Golden. She reminds us that we are always in the process of becoming. Each day we decide who we are and how we will behave in this world. We are part of a larger whole, connected each to all. And that becoming itself is a blessing. Adrienne Maree Brown is an American author, doula, and Black feminist based in Detroit, Michigan. Brown says, now is the time for imagination and magic that can move us beyond what we think is politically possible now. She uses science fiction to help expand her mind and others so that we can imagine new ways of gathering. All of this is in service of building beloved community in our own lives and as a gathered body together. We cultivate the world that we dream about through imagining it and then becoming it more and more each day. In her poem on radical imagination, which was read earlier, Brown says, we can imagine so much. We can only imagine so much. Even our wildest imaginations are limited by what we see as possible. So together we practiced imagining, working on those muscles so that we can use it in all parts of our lives to build beloved community. During our visual meditation earlier, I invited you to imagine yourself in relation to the image and reflect on who you are called to become. When I did this spiritual practice myself, I first noticed a seed that was just under the ground. And then when I looked at the whole image together, I noticed that it was the same color as the leaves that were on the tree, and that it could be a leaf as well. I saw myself both as the new life sprouting and part of the decomposing earth that was helping to nourish those who came after. It is my work and our work to keep building on those who have come before and leave things better nourished for the next generation. In a few moments, we are going to spend some time in breakout rooms, which will allow you to have a conversation as if we were sitting around a table together. And if being in a small group will not serve you today, you can select leave breakout room and come back into the main space for some quiet reflection. And I'll remind you that active listening while muted counts as participation 2. You'll automatically be sorted into a smaller Zoom room and asked to reflect on one or both of these questions. Where did you see yourself in the image, and who are you called to become? Once you are in the breakout rooms, you'll have about a minute each to share your answers to one or both of these questions, and then invite the next person to share. As always, you are welcome to pass. And once everyone has shared, you can have a less structured conversation about the theme of becoming until your 8 minutes are up. See you in a moment, beloved. Welcome back, dear ones. I hope your sharing time together was fruitful. At the end of the service, you'll be invited to share a word or a phrase that you're taking away from our time together. Throughout our lives, we continue to explore and discern who we are becoming and who we're called to become. Continuing our visual connection, the lyrics of our next hymn were inspired by the title of a famous oil painting by Paul Gauguin. And I invite you to lean into the mystery and expand what is possible as we all sing along to Where Do We Come From?
Where do we come from? Where are we going?
thank you, Tad, for infusing some laughter and joy today. And now I'm inviting us into a time of community connection, a time of sacred sharing. If you'd like to share a joy or concern, please raise your hand by clicking the reactions at the bottom of your screen. Look behind more if you don't see it, and then clicking raise hand and a tech usher Cameron will unmute you. Or you may see a pop-up window asking you to unmute yourself. If you prefer, you can share your joy or concern in the chat window by sending a chat to everyone, and I would be happy to read aloud whatever you send. And if you want us to follow up with you, please include your full name in the chat. When you do share, whether that is by voice or by chat, we'd like to know your name, where you live, and very briefly let us know what is in your heart today. And I will be sure to put a stone in our sacred waters on your behalf. Beloveds, may we remember that what we share with one another, our strengths and our struggles, our surgeries and our poems, our celebrations and our griefs, all that we share aloud and in our hearts is worthy of abundant love, unearned love. Spirit of life and love, fill our hearts with gratitude and compassion, for each joy and sorrow is sacred. And from this holy place, may our community surround each one of you with tender love and care. May it be so. And now let's extinguish our chalice. We extinguish the chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. And now, as we close, I want to extend a warm thank you to everyone involved. Today, we thought about what it means to be a people of becoming. The service may have ended, but our service to each other, the world, and our faith community continues. As the music plays to close out our worship, we invite you to write in the chat one word or a short phrase of what you're taking away from our time together. Blessed be.